Hey guys, so before the video starts, I just want to let you know that in the description I'm going to put timestamps for each of the bands or artists that I'm going to be discussing. So that way you can skip throughout this video if you want to. And if you're just looking to see what my top 10 favorite artists are, you can just check the description below. So just check the description there and you can see the specific times when I talk about each different artist. Yeah, just be sure to check that out if you don't want to watch the whole thing. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. What's going on, guys? Kevin here to bring you a new video today. Today I wanted to talk about, this time around, my top 10 favorite artists of all time. I have done a video previously where I released a video on my top 20 favorite albums, but I haven't done top 10 artists. So I wanted to take the time to talk about my top 10 favorite artists of all time. Now, when I talk about these, I don't want to just be saying, oh, I like these few songs. Like, if I say I like Nirvana, I don't want to just say, oh, I like those songs, "Smells Like Teen Spirit" and "Come As You Are." Those are great songs. That's why I like this artist. Like, no, I want to talk about like albums and like things I like about the artist as far as albums and like a lot of stuff that they put out. Because if an artist is top 10, then you should definitely like more than just like a few songs by them. I recently saw a video that did that, and it was just like bothered me. But yeah, to start off, we're gonna do number 10 as Genesis. Now, Genesis is a band that I really like for its certain era of music. They did have a different era of music where their lead singer was Peter Gabriel, and it was much more like progressive era for them before Phil Collins became the lead singer. And it was just like the music that they put out before that was just bizarre to me and just didn't mesh with me at all. And yeah, but then Phil Collins became the lead singer, and then they came out with like Abacab and like Duke and then there were three, and I didn't really like those albums that much. But then they came out with Invisible Touch, which is an amazing album to me. I really like Invisible Touch specifically as an album. That has, Invisible Touch, obviously, Tonight, 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 the Brazilian, the instrumental, Domino, one of my favorite songs ever. It's like a really cool 10-minute long song. Home by the Sea, that's actually on the next one, which is Genesis. It's just called Genesis. It has like shapes on it. But That's All as well as Mama, and It's Gonna Get Better, Silver Rainbow, Illegal Alien, all those good ones. Yeah, those two albums specifically really make them one of my favorite bands. And then I also have this album called We Can't Dance, which has No Son of Mine, Jesus He Knows Me, and I've listened to that a couple times. And I also have a compilation album called Turn It On Again, The Hits, which is a really good compilation album that has the song Turn It On Again, which I really like, as well as a bunch of other songs, including some of the ones I mentioned. And then I also own a live album by Genesis called The Way We Walk, which was actually the first album that I bought ever, like when I was building my collection. I like owned albums before that, but this was like the first album I really bought. Like, I did own albums before that, but when I was first starting my collection, that's what I really bought. I did have like other CDs that I already had that I was listening to, but yeah. But yeah, overall, really great band. I'm happy I've gotten into them. The next one is this one. This list, especially these last two, were just really hard to pick because these last two, number 10, number 9, are just really hard to decide. The next one is Tears for Fears. I really, really like Tears for Fears, actually. I didn't like think of them right away for some reason, but I realized, Songs from the Big Chair is such an amazing album that I've listened to quite a number of times, especially when I was in college for some reason. But that's a really good album, actually, all the way through. It's just like one coherent piece with. It starts with Shout, and then The Working Hour, and then Mother's Talk, Broken, Head Over Heels, um, I Believe, and Listen. Actually, I Believe came before Broken. Yeah, and I think that's the order. I've pretty much memorized like all the songs on that. I know how they all go. That's a really amazing album. That's just like so well crafted. I actually didn't include that in my top 20 favorite albums, which I was pretty surprised about that I forgot about that album. And then they have two other good albums as well. The Hurting, which was their debut album, which I really like. That has like Mad World, The Hurting, Pale Shelter, and a few other really good ones. They're all good songs on that album. And then also The Seeds of Love, that has Woman in Chains, which is like a beautiful song. And then Sowing the Seeds of Love, and then a bunch of other good songs on that one as well. And I saw them in concert, and it was pretty damn good. So yeah. Next on is number 8 is Metallica. Now, I know this is like a different band from like others that I'm going to mention, but they do have a heavier sound, but I do like them a fair amount. Actually, a very good amount. So, as you can see, I do have a Metallica poster. So there you go. But yeah, I like a good amount of their stuff. They did eventually like kind of change their sound a lot after their Black album came out, and I really didn't like their sound, but I like a lot of the earlier stuff that they put out. So Ride the Lightning, first of all, is a fantastic album, and they that has like a good mix of like what do you call it, like slower songs and like heavier songs. So Metallica does have some slower songs which are really nice, like Nothing Else Matters, The Unforgiven, and Fade to Black. But also Ride the Lightning has all these like really good intense songs like Trapped Under Ice, Fight Fire with Fire, For Whom the Bell Tolls, The Call of Cthulhu. That's like a little bit of a slower song actually, but yeah, either way. Ride the Lightning's a really fun album to listen to. It makes you want to drive fast when you listen to it when you're driving. But then you have Kill 'Em All was their first album that has Seek and Destroy. That's one of my favorite songs by them. Hit the Lights, The Fourth Horseman, a couple others. And then you have Master of Puppets. Obviously it has Master of Puppets and Orion, another instrumental. Battery, I believe. It's been a while since I listened to Master of Puppets specifically. But yeah, Ride the Lightning's amazing. Master of Puppets, from what I can remember, is pretty good. Then you have the Black album. This album is so amazing all the way through. It feels like it should be a greatest hits album. It's so like complete to me. So I really quite enjoy the Black album. That has so many great songs. Wherever I May Roam, Sad But True, Through the Never, Don't Tread on Me, Enter Sandman, which is not the best Metallica song. Like, get out of here if you think that. But Enter Sandman is on it, which is a good song. I would say Fade to Black is my favorite song by them, but that's just my take. But yeah, after that, it was weird because after the Black album, I feel like they just were not the same band. That's just my personal take. And they did come out with an album called Injustice for All, that has the song One on it, which is a good song. Otherwise, I don't really know much about the rest of that album. Supposedly, it's like supposed to be really like socially conscious. Like it has like deep messages about it, but I I think I've only listened to that album once. To be honest, I can't remember it like really standing out to me. But yeah, it was critically panned, so I don't know. I'll probably give it another chance. But yeah, so this is where it gets tough. Number 7 is Lorde. So Lorde is a fantastic artist that I really, really adore, but she's number 7. So she has 2 great albums currently. She's working on a third one actually, but she has 2 great albums. One is Pure Heroine, which is kind of like a cool collection of a bunch of songs, including Tennis Court, which if you haven't already, go watch the music video for that because it's cool, and yeah, just watch it. Um, you have Royals, which is like arguably her most popular song, I guess. Um, Team, which is my favorite song by her. Like Glory and Gore, Buzz Cut Season, and a few others that are really all good together. She's just really talented, and I really do appreciate what she does. And then she also put out an album called Melodrama not too long ago. This album was really good. I love the way all of the songs on this album go together specifically. I feel like they all go together so well, and that's why I put it as one of my favorite albums. Just because everything on it just is so good and works together so well. It's like one piece, I guess, with like all these different songs, like Sober, Homemade Dynamite, Perfect Places. Like they all just blend together really well. I love that album. I could listen to that a ton. Not that Pure Heroine isn't good, but that album's good too. And I'm hyped for what's to come from her in the future. The next artist that I want to mention for number 6 is Dua Lipa. She is really good. I'm really impressed by what she does. She's only put out one album, but she's a really talented artist as well. I own a complete album by her. It has 2 discs on it. That's pretty good. And she's got a big collection of songs on that album, even though it's just one album that she's put out. So you have Genesis, Be the One, which I would say is my favorite song by her, Hotter Than Hell, Garden, Bad Together, New Rules, New Love, Electricity, One Kiss. Like, the list just goes on and on. She's just got so many great hits. I just love her voice and what she does. And then she's got a new album that's coming out soon with some singles that she's already come out with. So she has Don't Start Now, which is a really hype song that I was actually just listening to recently. Really fun song. What is it? Physical. That one's interesting. It's a pretty like upbeat, like hype song, like really high energy song. Future Nostalgia. I really like that one. That one's really good. I'd say that one and Don't Start Now I probably like the best out of that so far. Physical is not as good, but I still like it. I'll still like anything she does. But yeah, I'm hyped for Future Nostalgia. That comes out next month. But yeah, I know she's only number 6, but I really do like her. If Future Nostalgia proves to be really good, then maybe that will raise her in the ranks, But we'll see. The next one I want to talk about is Rush. This is a band that if you would ask me like 6 years ago, like, who's your favorite band? I would be like, Rush. But, I've kind of evolved my music taste a little bit, I'd say, over the years. So it's the bands that, or artists that come after that are, different from them. But needless to say, in my massive music collection here, as you can see, I have quite a collection of over 250 CDs. Within this collection, I own some Rush albums. So I'm just gonna go through these. You have 2112. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but some of them. I have 2112, this was like an album that had this 20-minute long epic called 2112. They made this because they thought that they weren't gonna keep making music anymore, and so they were just gonna go out with a bang. And this album became popular, so they kind of still like stayed in it. And then they came out with these two pieces, Farewell to Kings and Hemispheres, which sort of contain like more like longer songs that are kind of like divided up into parts. Like Xanadu is like a 10-minute song. Cygnus X1 is like a story about like a ship's journey into a black hole. And then within this song, Cygnus X1 Book 2 is an 18 minutes long song about them going through the black hole and arriving in a new world. And yeah, it's crazy. And then the best song on this album, or the best song in my opinion of all time by Rush, Lorde.to, is great. And I do just want to say, like, Neil Peart recently passed away. He was the drummer for Rush, and my God, he was such an amazing drummer. Like, he will be missed. Like, he really stood out with what he did for drumming, and like he had like massive drum sets of like basically like all the drums would be like all around him. Like the only way you could like leave was like straight out. So like you just had like massive amounts of drums, and like he made himself like stand out in the band, and he was just so unique and inventive with what he did. He was also the lyricist for Rush.to, which is also really cool. So like he wrote some really thought-provoking and profound lyrics for Rush that I could get into, but yeah. Permanent Waves, that has Spirit Radio and Free Will. Not quite as mainstream, but still really fun album. Then you have Moving Pictures. This one was the more mainstream one. It has Tom Sawyer, which is by no means their favorite song. I mean, their best song. I don't know, get why people say that, but whatever. Limelight, YYZ, one of my favorite songs by them. Red Barchetta, and a bunch of other good ones. Then you get into more of like a synth-like era with like Signals, which has like Subdivisions, The Analog Kid, Countdown, Chemistry, Digital Man. Yeah, this one's a really fun one. I could definitely listen to this one a good amount. I was more into like the synth era of Rush, but I do appreciate this era too. And you have Grace Under Pressure, which is more of like a dark album, but it's still like kind of in the synth era. I really like this one too. And then you get into closer to modern day with Power Windows, still in the synth era. This is, I would say, my favorite Rush album, arguably. This has Marathon and a Motion Detector, which I would argue is my favorite song by Rush, is a Motion Detector. Hold Your Fire, also still in the synth era of Rush. This was the end of it, really, for them, with Force 10, Time Stand Still, Prime Mover, such an amazing song. Like, this is just like one example of like messages in a song, but Prime Mover is kind of just about like just keep pushing forward. The point of the journey is not to arrive. Just like keep going. Yeah, like a lot of it's just like inspirational type of stuff like that. And Marathon is like it's not how fast you can go. The force goes into the flow. If you pick up the beat, you can forget about the heat. So like it's a marathon. You gotta like endure things. So like the lyrics go deep, and yeah. But I have a live album by them. They got in the '90s. They got into like more experimental stuff with Roll the Bones. That's like a oddly experimental album. Counterparts, which is much different from what they previously did, but this is an album that holds a special place in my heart. Vapor Trails, Snakes and Arrows, both albums that I'm not really a big fan of. But then you have Clockwork Angels, which came out in 2012. This album's really good. it's different for Rush for sure, but it's got some great ones. Headlong Flight, um, what is it? Caravan, BUTV, Halo Effect. Yeah, a bunch of different ones. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Rush. They're an amazing band. Anyways, the next one I'm going to talk about is Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is an amazing artist that I've gained appreciation for, especially as of recently, with her new album that she put out, Lover. Had she not put out that album, I don't believe she would be top 10, but that's not to say I don't appreciate her as an artist. I still love what she does. I was listening to her other stuff. I had her other albums before Lover came out and was listening to other stuff. I love her debut album, even though it's more like country style. I still kind of had an appreciation for it. And then I really like Fearless. I feel like that was like an improvement from her debut album, even though that was like country as well. I really like that one. That one's really fun. And then Speak Now, also good too. Still kind of country, but a little bit more pop, slightly, I guess. Probably still more on the country side. And then you have Red. This is one of my favorites by her actually. This was more towards pop, but still kind of country. I guess this was like on like the fringe of like switching over to pop for Taylor, in my opinion. But Red is a really really good album. I really like that one. And then 1989. People argue that that's like her best album, but I would argue not. Because I actually like Red better than 1989. That's a take. And then 1989 is good though. I really love Blank Space and Style and all the other ones on that. And then you have Reputation, which wasn't too big for me. I wasn't really that into it just because of like the dark theme to it, and it also had like a hip hop vibe, or like I don't know, it had like a hip hop vibe to it that I just did not like. Most of the songs just weren't for me. Like I didn't like the song Endgame really, but you know certain songs like Getaway Car, Gorgeous, kind of stood out. So there were songs here and there that I liked more than others, but yeah. And then Lover came out, and I was like, wow, this is amazing for Taylor. I'm so happy she did this. Like, this is something else. This album is definitely top 3 best albums of all time for me. I really like this album. It has so many great hits on it, and it's just such a fun, great, happy, uplifting album for me. It has, you know, I Forgot You Existed, Cruel Summer, The Man, of course, Lover, which I would say is my favorite song on that album. Cornelia Street, Daylight, which is really an underrated song actually. You Need to Calm Down, which I actually really like. Some people don't like that song at all, but I really like it. And then you have, what else do you have? Me, which is like the main single of that song, but yeah. And yeah, they're all really good songs though, and I really do like her, especially with that recent album. So yeah, really definitely appreciate her. The next one is going to be Paramore. I will say I did have a good amount of trouble deciding between Paramore and Taylor Swift, like being 3 or 4, or like vice versa. Just because like I have a lot of appreciation for both of them, like Paramore as the band and Taylor Swift. But in my opinion, sorry about that. In my opinion, I would just say that Paramore just edges out Taylor Swift just a little bit, just because I like the majority of what they've put out over time just a little bit more, despite the fact that their album Brand New Eyes I was just not a huge fan of. But aside from that, I'm a pretty big fan of theirs. I love their most recent album, After Laughter. I would say that's my favorite album ever. Yeah, it was on my top 20 list. So yeah, I would say that is my favorite album ever. It's tough to decide that, but yeah. Um, but yeah, that's a really good album that has so many great, amazing songs on it that I really like. Before that, you had their self-titled album, just called Paramore, which has a whole collection of like 17 great songs, including Last Hope, which I would argue is my favorite song by them, and a bunch of others. Still Into You, also really, really good. I love that song so much. Um, and before that was Brand New Eyes, and then before that was Riot, which was a much different album when you compare that to After Laughter. Much heavier, darker, more rebellious sounding. But yeah, really fun album as well. Really, really dig that one too. And then you have All We Know Is Falling, and with that, I do own all Paramore albums. But yeah, All We Know Is Falling also is a fantastic album um, that I've only listened to it like a couple times, but it's pretty good. Yeah. Um, the next one that I'm going to talk about is Madonna. Madonna's persona and her actions that she's had lately and the things that she's done, not a big fan of, I gotta say, but regardless, I still love her music and what she's put out throughout the years, and still place her as my number two favorite artist. She's recently done a couple of questionable things, like um, come to her tour concerts like 2 hours late. Like one time, one of her concerts started at like 11:30 when it was supposed to start at like 10, or it was supposed to start at like 9 and it started at 11:30 or something like that. Like it was pretty crazy. And she's also just not put out the greatest music lately. It just feels like she's trying to like blend in by being more like in tune with what the current pop scene is like, trying to like go along with that, and I just feel like it doesn't work well. Um, just in my opinion, but she has put out a lot of great music. She had um, an album called Pre Madonna that was made that showcases like some of her really older stuff before she even like got off the ground, and then she had her debut album, which is really great. That's got my favorite song I would say by her is Holiday, which is on that album, and then a few others. And then you have Like a Virgin, also really good. True Blue. I'm just gonna name all the albums. I don't even want to like mention all the songs. Like I know all the songs on all the albums. True Blue, Like a Prayer. A lot of people regard that as like her best album, but I like it. But I don't like see the love for it. Like for the love for it being like the best album ever made by her. Like I think it's got to be either Like a Virgin or her debut album. But yeah, Like a Prayer is a good album. It's got some good themes to it, regardless. After that, she came out with Erotica, which was like a controversial album that was very like sexual themed. But I really like the sound of it. I like the composition of the songs. I don't like it just because it was sexual, but I do like the songs that were made for it. Bedtime Stories, not it's kind of a forgettable album for me. I don't know, it just doesn't stand out a lot. Um, she tried to make more of like a PC or like safe album after Erotica, so that's kind of what that was, I think. Ray of Light, that's a really fun one for sure. That's got a fun array of songs, and then you have Music, also a really fun one. That's got that mainstream song Music. It's called Music. You'd probably recognize it if you heard it. Um, and then she put out American Life, which is not a good album by any means. I do not like that album. Oh my god, I had issues with that album. But even though I didn't like the album, um, I still didn't like hate it. I don't know. Come to think of it, like I didn't really like not like it. I still liked it. Like I just didn't like it nearly as much as other albums. So like being a big Madonna fan, like even that album, I still liked a decent amount, but it definitely was not well made. I would say. If you listen to it, if you're just like an average fan, you'd be like, "Oh God, what is this?" But yeah, after that, she kind of bounced back with Confessions on a Dance Floor. She This album is so amazingly produced throughout. The production that's done on it is really really well done with all the songs. And then she started trying to stay in the pop scene more with albums like Hard Candy, and then she came out with MDNA, which is more of like a dubstep album, I guess. And then she came out with or like electronic. Then she came out with like Rebel Heart and Madam X, which both just seemed like albums that were trying to fit in with the current pop scene. Both of those albums have some fun songs. Um, I like I like the songs in Rebel Heart a little better. Madam X was kind of a letdown, but some of the songs are decent. But yeah, the next artist who's number one, who I want to say, is going to be Lady Gaga. She is number one. So it's interesting because from the moment I recorded this video, she like figuring out who's number one was like the first thing that I did actually. So with Lady Gaga, I have to give her the number one spot just because I always admired what she's done throughout her career, um, regardless of like how she was received by critics. Such as like with her album Art Pop, that album was not well received, but I really enjoyed that album. That album has a lot of great songs throughout that I really liked. I don't see the hate for it. Then you have before that you had The Fame, um, which has like an original set of songs on it, and then you had The Fame Monster, which has that same original set of songs plus a new set of songs that are on the first disc, and then the original set are on the second disc. So you have those, and then those are all just so great. I love all of those songs. I'm not even gonna try to like name all of them, but yeah, those are all amazing on that album. And then you have Born This Way, which is really an inspirational album for me because it kind of like empowered me regarding like coming out and stuff. So I really liked the messages that were conveyed throughout that album specifically, um, with songs like Born This Way, of course, Hair, which is like about just like expressing yourself, like such as with your hair. That's kind of like her theme is like she didn't have any other way of expressing herself other than what she did with her hair. So it's kind of like, even though I don't have hair really, like it's kind of like cool to hear that, like that you could just like express yourself that way, and it's saying like you should express yourself. And like Road to Love, also a great one. That's my favorite song by her, I would say. And then Edge of Glory, also really amazing. Marry the Night, also really great. You and I, that whole album is just incredible. After that, you have Joanne, which is a more like light or more like passionate album, like deeper, with songs like Joanne and Million Reasons. And then you have other ones like Perfect Illusion, John Wayne, Come to Mama. That's like a great collection of songs on that album right there. I really liked how she like changed up her sound on that. I thought that was really cool. And now, well, she just came out. She did come out with. She was in A Star Is Born, which was a great film, and she came out with a song called Shallow that I really liked. I did thought it get a little overplayed on the radio, but I thought that was a really fun song. And now she's coming out. She came out with a new song just recently called "Stupid Love," which I would say I've probably listened to at least 8 or maybe 10 times since it's come out. and I really, really like that song, and I can't wait for her new album that's going to be coming out. It's called Chromatica. I can't wait for that. That's going to be so, I really hope that's going to be so good. I'm just so excited for what she does. I can't say, I guess she doesn't have, like, she's not, like, the greatest with being in touch with her fan base, I feel like. She's kind of, like, I feel like she's a little bit closed off as far as, like, what she, like, tells. But, you know, that is what it is. I mean, that's just her choice to, you know, limit, like, what she shows, I guess. But, yeah, either way, she's really amazing, and I just love her so much for the messages that she puts out. You know, back a while ago, I used to, like, question, you know, is Katy Perry better than Lady Gaga, or is Lady Gaga better than Katy Perry? But it's no question that Lady Gaga is better, because Katy Perry, like, has a collection of a few good songs that I like, and she doesn't have nearly what Lady Gaga has as far as, like, depth with her songs. But yeah, before I end this video, I just want to go over some honorable mentions. So I have Kesha, No Doubt, Coldplay, The Script, Def Leppard, Fleetwood Mac, Boston, Electric Light Orchestra, Avenged Sevenfold, Huey Lewis and the News, Kelly Clarkson, and Imagine Dragons. So yeah, that's going to be it, guys. But hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll see you guys in the next one.